This is Talk for Food. Your portal into quantum possibility. I'm Adam Abraham. Each week I'll be your guide on this expedition where we'll explore the near and far reaches of this thing called life on Earth and beyond. Talk for Food is brought to you by Philos Books, publishers of I Am My Body, Not, A Freed Man, an Emancipation Proclamation, and producers of Understanding MMS, Conversations with Jim Humble, the only feature-length documentary on the subject of the Miracle Mineral Supplement on Earth.
We can actually work with nature through the power of our consciousness because we're part of everything that is.
Hello again, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to another edition of Talk for Food, which comes to you each week over web at talkradio.net. I'm Adam Abraham, and I will be enunciating as clearly and as I can as changes in life continue to unfold, as they continue to happen, as we journey into realms of quantum possibility for this week. Change is always occurring, and this is really, there's no better time for change. We are changing our world, we're changing our values, we're changing our methodologies, and we also are in a time of changing our ideas of what is possible, our ideas of what can change, and even our ideas on who can change. How do we change a world? How do we affect peace? How do we bring harmony? Or do we bring harmony? Is it possible? How can you have harmony when so many people are mad and believe that they are justified in being so? When you have so many people and so many factions that are still willing to be threats of disaster, be threats of danger, of destruction. When someone is willing to be a threat, then it's really evidence that they don't know who they are. And if that someone is a we, if we are walking around fearing a threat, then it means we don't know who we are. We don't know what we are. And for that reason, it behooves us to consider reimagining ourselves. This is a time of reimagination. This is a time for regeneration, for unification as well, for harmonization. It's certainly my thought. It's my wish, it's my desire, it's my intention. The point of reimagining, though, and reimagining possibilities, it permeates all areas of existence, all areas of possibility. We have a world, we are creating a world that is unto itself in need of major change. I think we are in agreement that there are so many things that need to change about our world. We have a toxic environment that we have created. Now, I can't say I formulated toxins and put them into the atmosphere or put them into the water table or made them as part of the tap water that we drink or part of the ingredients that are in foods or in the medication or the stuff that's called medication and medicine that we are given once we get sick. However, in my own way, I have allowed it to occur because, well, I just say I didn't know better. We have allowed, we have, let's say, relied on, or we've trusted, we've assumed that people who know more than we do are running things. They're taking care of things. And we content ourselves to watch TV and keep track of WWF and who's winning the Super Bowl or whatever the sport is of the moment, whoever the what celebrity just broke up, who's just made American Idol, or what's the biggest loser. We keep track of this stuff all the while our sons and daughters are being sent places to kill people and destroy things on the basis of something our politicians have said it needs to happen. We haven't asked nearly enough, why are we doing this? And is there not a better way? We go to our doctors when the toxins and when all these other unnatural actions that we've adopted come to a head, and they come in the form of various forms of pathologies, and then the doctors tell us we have this, and now we've got to start taking this additional stuff, which it may make the first thing go away, but then something else shows up, and something else shows up, or they take an organ out, and everything looks okay, but down the road something else shows up, and something else shows up, and we never have a sense of why this new thing is happening. We just start to say, well, I was younger then and I'm older now. Must be because I'm older. And then there again, we don't know ourselves. Well, I'm learning so much about who we are. I'm learning so much about what's possible that, I'm moving forward, even if it looks like sometimes I'm falling apart. But I am really excited about where I am, and also where humanity can be, and for that matter, where humanity is, because the things that I speak about and talk about, I'm not alone. I mean, heck, you're listening, aren't you? There are more of us out here, and we are all making this journey of discovery, and we all have a role to play in the changes that our world is going through. And because there are changes that we are initiating, we are the driving forces behind a new world that's emerging. And so a lot of my conversation has to do with matters of health and well-being. Not so much that I want to educate you so much, but I'm educating myself. And I'll tell you why some of these things are going on, that they're going to be happening right in front of your face to some extent. But let's talk a little bit about today's show. The opening words just before I got on were that of Carol Roberts, who is the originator of Genome Healing. She's out of Queensland, the Gold Coast in Australia. And she teaches genome healing. It is a modality, let's say, that's based on consciousness. It's based on intention. It's based on an understanding that information and sets of information and structure underlie all existence, and that means all of that is living. That means all pathologies. Everything is literally speaking an idea. Okay? There's not an allegory here. All that exists begins and exists as an idea. That includes you and me. That includes all that is well and all that is not. And the thing that we are learning now is that dysfunction, as we presently understand it, can be replaced with the original information that drove the creation. Okay, Carol calls it the original blueprint of the Creator. And so that to me is an area of understanding, an area of knowledge that's worth pursuing, that's worth embracing and worth embodying. And so I have reason to do all of those things. When our show today is going to be a conversation with Carol Roberts. It's also going to be, as we prepare for a break, I'm going to read an excerpt from one of the books that I have been reading from Russia, which are one of the influencers of Carol's work. Is from Arkady Petrov. And I'll also talk a bit more about the workshop itself, some of the elements of it, some of my motivations for it as well, some of the opportunities, challenges, or whatever that I am seeking for myself to mitigate. And there'll be some resonance, I'm sure. But let's take the break, and on the other side, we will begin this journey into quantum possibility when Talk for Food returns with Adam Abraham and our guest, Carol Roberts, on webtalkradio.net. What you're about to see are some sounds and images of the evolution of the Photonic Energy Center. In the beginning is Saggio and Matt Venuti, who came by in the time as we were getting the one of our rooms ready, and you can see where that room is today. The Photonic Energy Center is at photonicenergycenter.com. All right, this first segment of Talk for Food gets started right here and now on web at talkradio.net with Adam Abraham. And I began this by talking about reimagining. How do you change our world? We change our world through our imagination. We create our world. We create our experience through imagination, through what we imagine is possible, through what we desire to be possible, and to the extent that our beliefs are in support of our desires. I mean, that's kind of what's there. When our beliefs are in support of our desires, our imagination will be stable even in the absence of a reality that is visible. However, if our beliefs do not support the desire, then our imaginations can fly all over the place through fear. So when you watching TV and there's a commercial or the news comes on after American Idol goes off, and they start telling you about a flu epidemic that's coming up, and all the people who can be susceptible to that, imagination runs wild. And to the extent that you are fearful of that happening to you, you increase the likelihood of it simply, literally happening to you. You becoming part of it just because of the idea. Now, as it turns out, and this gets into some of the really exciting elements of this show and the subject of that we'll be talking about in our Genome Healing Workshop, is that since everything is an information structure, everything is an idea. To change our world, we simply begin to adopt new ideas about who we are, about what's possible. We adopt, we embrace, we embody those ideas. And then we imagine from the position of those ideas actually being real, being viable. Because anything that you can imagine, whether it has happened or not, should I say anything that you do enact, our imagination is not limited by whether something has happened or not. How many of you have seen a unicorn? I cannot say that I have petted one or I have had a face-to-face, in what we call 3D reality with a unicorn. But pretty much anyone can imagine what a unicorn is. Well, if it is imaginable, it's then experienceable. There is a reality to it. And that applies also to what can happen with our life. That applies to what can happen with our health. We have been going under the impression, I'll tell you this, one of our major alphabet agencies which oversees the, let us say, the administration of certain elements of our sustenance and certain elements of our medicine, believes, and they state, that the only element, the only thing that can be actually attributed to the word cure, let's put it this way. If you're talking about cure, about anything, that subject that is associated with the word cure is a drug, according to one of our major government agencies that oversees such things in the public interest, I want to add, okay? Well, that statement is only an idea, and the facts do not support it and the evidence doesn't support it as even true. But that particular organization thinks it's true, and in the absence of anyone kind of looking at the king and saying, hey, your fly is open, close it up, there's a draft here someplace and the truth is flowing out of it, then we have a conspiracy of silence. We have a tacit approval, we have a tacit agreement, simply because we are not speaking up and saying, what have you been smoking? Now, drugs do not cure, quote unquote, anything. Nothing that is in a drug, the body has no biological imperative, no natural imperative. There is nothing unnatural that can sustain life, that can enhance life. And drugs, by their very nature, are antithetical to life. They tend to be manipulating, they tend to obstruct, they intend to inhibit, they tend to change in some kind of way. They block, they interfere. Even the names. There's one called interferon. Does that give you an idea of what it might be doing? It's not healthy. And so even the premise that the drugs are designed under, I mean, people are spending a lot of time and money, and in fact, they're not even, outside of what they're charging the public for the administration and the use of these drugs, they're raising money by running and walking and tying ribbons and doing all other kind of things, when in fact, the net results, the end results of what they do, of their work, are to generate unnatural methods to try to change a natural element. What's the natural element? You. If it's something biological, it's natural, it's you, it's living. But they're using unliving, unintelligent practices and strategies to try to fix something, when in fact all of the fixes have been designed right into our very nature. And this is again a factor there where if we choose these methods, this evidence that we don't know who we are. Now, I've been babbling here for a while. You're listening to Talk for Food on web@talkradio.net. This is Adam Abraham, and I'm giving all of this preamble because we are in the process of reimagining ourselves. We are reimagining what's possible, and we are discovering that there are ways to change, to bring about positive healing. Let's take back the H word, as I call it, which is healing. Let's take back the C word. I was going to say the Q word. The C word, which is cure. Because those words, those ideas belong with the human being. They are a part of who you are, because healing and curing are they are organizing, they are the effects and the results of harmonization and reorganization, okay? A reunification, a restoration of the whole, the restoration of the norm. The norm, and this is where I'm bringing it up for anyone who can see this on video, I'm reading book 3 of The Creation of the Universe. Book 3 is called Save the World Around You by Arkady Petrov. He's a Russian writer. He also runs a Center for Bioinformational Technology in Moscow. And they have been achieving some amazing, amazing results, amazing changes without using medication, without using medicine. And, they've gone beyond what we have come to even experience or expect from medical practices, which including the regeneration of limbs, the regeneration of teeth, the regeneration of organs that have been surgically removed. These conditions, these states have been changed. They've been mitigated. Of course, healing from cancer and other forms of disease and AIDS has certainly been done. And they've been doing it without the medication, without all of the things that we have become accustomed to thinking one must do in order to live. Otherwise, we'll die. A lady I talked to today called me who's dealing with breast cancer, the breast cancer idea. And she's had the chemotherapy, she's had radiation. She's not getting well. She is not achieving the results that she's looking for. And of course they tell her, you got to take these things or you're going to die. And then but they don't talk about the people who did take them and who are dead. They don't also don't talk about the people who did not take this stuff and are living, who not only survived but regained their health. Not a lot of folks know that they can regain health from cancer. Fewer people even know that you can regenerate your teeth or regenerate an organ. A man called me the other day who has Parkinson's disease. And after some conversation, I asked, have you ever had any surgeries? And, have you had any organs removed? And he said, well, come to think of it, when I was 4 years of age, my tonsils were removed. I said, well, you should consider regenerating your tonsils. Now, that sounds odd today here in America. But this is happening in other parts of the world, and it is something that is part of who we are. So I've got my own things to do, and I'm going to work on this myself, because I've got teeth that they've been leaving. They've been making room for new ones, okay? And as it turns out, I've had surgeries. I've had a number of things, root canals. Root canals is a big, big deal in terms of how it affects you, and it doesn't affect you the day and even the month of the year after it occurs. It happens down the line when you've forgotten that it was something that you changed that was really a dramatic change to the electromagnetic nature of your being. Everything that God, if you will, has put, everything that creation has put into us to make who we are, is there for a reason. And our science is so arrogant that they presume that they know what is expendable and what is not. And they take things out without even thinking about it, when in fact they upset something, they upset a very well-designed creation. And then we see the results somewhere down the line. We experience the results somewhere down the line. It's my desire to change all of that, and that is why we're going to be introducing you and continuing very shortly here with my conversation with Carol Roberts.
So, there have been cultures in the past who knew how to bring rain and, work with the elements, and we're learning how to do all that.
That's, what it is suggesting here is that there is an ability, I think, and perhaps there is even a gift or a reward beyond the restoration of our health on a personal level, but it is suggesting that there could be and would be an observable and even measurable benefit to the world at large. And perhaps our issues about peace and conflict and things like that may in fact also be impacted by the degree to which we are able to mend and balance and restore ourselves internally.
Absolutely, Adam. What happens when we go into the organs, and I specifically go into the males and female parts of the organs, which is very interesting. And we find that in nearly every case there is some conflict between the male-female, which is understandable.
I'm not surprised.
There's so many relationships in the world that are not working,
uh-huh.
you know? Because when we go in and we communicate with a female, let's say the female energy of the heart or the male energy of the heart, and we find that quite often, in nearly every case, they've got issues. They know they're supposed to work as one unified organ, same with the left and right brain, but the problem is that there are some things or resistances that they're holding within themselves that stop them from actually uniting together, this male-female oneness. And so this conflict that we experience in our organs is reflected back to us in the world around us. So if we're experiencing chaos and, lack of peace in the world, it's all within us. It's that chaos and lack of peace within our own organs that is attracting a particular situation to us. So the world only reflects our own selves back to us. So if we want to change our world, we have to change ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
We have to, they say if you don't go within, you go without.
Yeah, without all the wonderful things, without joy, without love, without abundance. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, that's it.
Mm.
So that's basically what we're doing. We're taking people on an internal journey into all these parts of themselves that they have actually been out of. Let's say, they've probably been not thinking about or not aware of. So out of awareness, and we come more into awareness. And we become more unified in those organs. They become more working together as one particular organ. And once they come together, once the organ actually comes together, it as a whole organ can then have a nice relationship with the other family of organs, because they're also quite often fighting with each other as well. So, there are all these... how do you say, as above, so below.
Yeah, I'm thinking of them like children, and they're bickering, yes.
Yeah, well, that's it. Well, it's all within ourselves, and when we learn how to transform it, and so fast, it's like we really feel that, wow, this is... We can step into the powerful creator self that we are. The problem is, the reason why people don't want to quite often go deeper is because they don't know how to handle what might come up.
Yes.
To go deeper.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? They don't know how to transform these old dysfunctional beliefs or traumas. And one of the things that I teach in the second part of the course, the intensive part of the course, is how to heal and release a whole lifetime of traumas in one session.
How to heal a lifetime of traumas in one session. This is amazing because some people take many lifetimes just to heal from one trauma, certainly to recover from one. But we're going to continue this and more with our conversation with Carol Roberts on the other side. We're going to take a break, and when we come back, we will talk more, and we're going to share some more thoughts from our Katie Petrov's Save the World Around You. when Talk for Food returns on the web at talkradio.net. Jim Harshman is made to change from water treatment to water transformation technology, having installed a unit from Photonic Water Systems for almost 2 years now. He tells you in his own words what has changed.
Well, here's the problem we had when we built this house in 2005 or 2006. We got it done and found out the water was extremely hard. There was a lot of calcium buildup on the outside of the pool and also into the misters inside the courtyard. And so we know we had an issue with the water right off the bat. So in trying to solve that, this is where we started to play around with the different options that were in the market. Kind of explored what was on the home shows at the different green shows and also home shows that the Phoenix area was having. And it was just a major problem, so we had to get it solved. And we ran into the product, and I guess we can't say enough about it. I mean, it took an intolerable scum problem, a white hard water problem, and just neutralize it to where we don't have the buildup anymore. We don't have the buildup on the pool, the courtyard fountain, or into the various systems that we have, such as your misters and your shower heads. So it's 100% work. Now, how it works, I have no idea, but it's not how it works that I'm worried about it.
Available at photonicwater.com.
We come in all shapes and sizes, but for all our apparent differences, we share an important oneness.
I am my body, not.
Now your child can discover the oneness behind human diversity with I Am My Body, Not, from Philos Books. This progressive book, written by Adam Abraham, helps parents and teachers introduce some of the most basic human concepts and questions. Celebrate the body and the spirit with I Am My Body, Not. Order now, just $19.95 plus shipping and handling.
I Am My Body, Not, is available at Philos.com. That's PHAELOS.com. Order yours today.
Hi, this is Mary Meadows, and you're listening to Talk for Food on webtalkradio.net.
One of the things that I teach in the second part of the course, the intensive part of the course, is how to heal and release a whole lifetime of traumas in one session.
So that was somewhat of a recap from Carol Roberts from the first half, as we consider the possibilities of healing a lifetime, or should I say lifetimes of traumas in a single session. Again, this is part of the process of reimagining what is possible, redefining not just the limits of possibility, but the unlimitedness of it. At any rate, I had planned to read a portion from Arkady Petrov's, but after reviewing the rest of the conversation, there was more to it than I actually saw on my clip of tape there. So at any rate, let's get back with Carol Roberts and continue right now. Just a little earlier, I was talking to a fellow, and he was saying that he described himself as an alcoholic in the present tense, even though it hasn't been something he's done in a while. But clearly it was something that he wasn't done with simply because of how he described it. It seems that this approach would be helpful in a situation like that. So please explain.
Oh, yes. Okay. What we found is that, traumatic times in our lives, they hold us back from being the best we can be. Now, we might not even be thinking of those. We might have moved on. But what we find is that the energy of that trauma is held within the energy field, or we could say in the cellular memory. Mm-hmm. So let's say there's been we've had trauma at birth, we've had trauma as a young child, a lot of people have been abused, sexually or otherwise, So there's humanity is carrying, or the people that I've worked with are carrying a lot of, baggage in the way of, traumatic events that they've been able to sort of push through, some of them, and, and sort of get on with life. But those traumas are still there, and they're buried. They're buried in the subconscious. Now, what happens when you've been traumatized, and that energy is still there within you, when you encounter a situation with someone who, let's say, does something bad to you, or maybe you feel rejected, well, it's not just that situation of that person rejecting you, but that trauma now sort of taps into all of the other rejections that you've experienced before. So it creates this sort of downward spiral of negativity, negative energy within your body, which is actually dragging you into degeneration.
Mm-hmm.
So the more you can release those traumas, and also when you're traumatized, it's very hard to forgive another person, like from the depths of you.
Mm-hmm.
You might try in your head, but when you're still hurting, it's hard to forgive.
Yes.
But what we're able to do is clear the hurt. So once the hurt's gone, you don't have to practice all the forgiveness methods because it's just natural.
Mm-hmm. Ah.
So, yeah, what we do, what I do in a session, and I teach people at the course, I would ask a person to give me the first remembrance of whatever, the first trauma that they can remember that happened in their life. Let's say they might say, some might say birth, some might say age 3, and I'll get all the ages, age 3, 7, 8, 14, all the way through. Now, they don't have to tell me the details of this trauma. They just have to think about that particular trauma and write. I might even get them to write one little sentence on that trauma, or they don't have to. They can just write the age it was, and then I ask them to give me a number. 10 means extreme, 0 means it doesn't bother them.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a method whereby they can evaluate. I go through and I ask them, okay, give me a number on the trauma at 2, or let's say 3. And they'll say, I just ask them to do this spontaneously. And the first number that comes, they give that one. And whatever it is, it might be a 7, might be a 9, might be a 10. So they give the numbers all the way up through all these years. Then we do a very powerful exercise where we choose a whole different timeline. And this is one of Grigori Grabovoy's exercises, very powerful. Within a very short amount of time, maybe probably 5 minutes, we go back, we ask, okay, what number do you have on age 3? The person will say, well, it seems to be 3. So it's gone down from a 10 to a 3. And we go all the way through. Now, sometimes it goes right down from a 10 to a nothing straight away.
Uh-huh.
Just telling you about this man I had yesterday. And we went through, he had about 15 different major traumatic, incidences throughout his life, and he'd given me all very high numbers. Anyway, he was telling me, okay, we went back after the exercise, and I said, well, give me the number on that one. And it was 1, 1, 1, 1, 1, all the way along.
Okay.
And halfway through, I thought, do you understand the evaluation system? 10 means extreme, 0 means it doesn't bother you. And he said, yes, but I can still remember the memory, so I'm giving it a 1. And I said, yeah, but it's not going to wipe your memory. You're going to go back and think of that issue, and there will be no negative charge on it whatsoever.
Yeah.
It happened, the trauma happened, right? But when you go back to it, all of the negativity around that trauma has gone, so you just think of it as an experience. It just is.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's what happened with him. Once he understood that you can still maintain the memory without actually having the debilitating emotions around the memory. Then he said, oh, actually, they're all naught.
Now that you said that. Wow.
Yeah. So they've all gone to naught.
Wow. We're talking with Carol Roberts, the originator of Genome Healing Method from Queensland on the Gold Coast in Australia, and who we are really looking forward to bringing to America, to Arizona, to teach this, which is normally presented. You normally do it in two sections as say a beginner and then an advanced course, but we're going to do the full Monty, one thing, one harmonious and homogeneous program.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes, the 2-day, which I teach over here in Australia, the 2-day basic, and that is followed by the 5-day intensive.
Mm-hmm. Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it'll be 7 days all up.
Yes. All right. Well, we are what we are wanting to do and intend to do is just from time to time we're going to continue this dialogue, because I'd like listeners and viewers to reflect on the nature of this. This is so radically different, and again, we have conditioned ourselves really to believe that we need to have medication, we need to have the scalpel, we need to have all of these various complicated and expensive and unfortunately ineffective methods. If we look at the incidence of chronic conditions, just this past few days ago, as of this moment, there was an article in one of the a newspaper called the Sacramento Bee in California that basically reporting that the incidences and the numbers of medical cases that are costing over $1 million was rising sharply in Northern California alone.
Wow.
$1 million for single cases, and with all the money that is being put into these and effort and all of the operating principles and practices and everything else, only thing that's really mounting up is just like a taxi cab. It's just the meter.
Yes, exactly. That's exactly right. You know, Adam, this thing, genome healing that I'm teaching, is giving people, everyday people, doesn't matter what one's background is, everyone can do this. It's not difficult when you know how. And, you know, the more people in the workshops, when we work with in pairs and we experience how we can help other people immediately and how they're getting great results and how, you know, it just builds your confidence. So initially I can understand people might think, oh, my God, you know, is this really possible? But, you know, as we get more and more experience of things working, we gain our faith, get stronger, and we become a lot more, how do you say, convinced that this is possible.
Yes. One thing that we might do before we end this particular conversation is just a little update on one of your clients and pupils who had a stroke 3 years ago. You had some really amazing and wonderful update, and this will give, I think, our listeners, viewers, really a picture of what is happening, not can happen, but is happening for someone.
Yes, yes, exactly. The first, she came to the workshop along with her mother. She's 21-year-old, well, she's 24 now, but she had a stroke at 21. She lost the whole of her right cerebellum and 60% of, sorry, opposite way round, 60% of her right cerebellum and the whole of her left cerebellum. She was in a wheelchair. She could do very little. You know, the stroke had affected her face, and, you know, as with stroke victims, the face is all hanging down to one side. Now, the first 15 minutes working with Sarah in the workshop, she started to get feeling on one side of her body that she hadn't had since the stroke. We then worked with her over the telephone. I did a 1 hour the first night over the telephone, and the mother got back to me and said, I don't know why, but she didn't have to clear any mucus last night because she has a little plastic thing in her throat where they are able to take out the mucus, because she can't feel mucus in her throat. She can't feel any, or she couldn't feel the mucus, and therefore her mother had to get up, 5 to 7 times every night to help her eliminate the mucus.
You're listening to Talk for Food on webtalkradio.net with Adam Abraham, and we are talking with Carol Roberts of GenomeHealing.com about her process, information and intention-based healing methods, retaking back the C word of cure and H word of healing. We are going to be hosting her here in Phoenix, Arizona in June 2012, June 11th through 18th, a 7-day workshop. And information on both, information on Genome Healing is at genomehealing.com, and on the workshop is genomehealingworkshop.us. Let us continue.
The first night of the telephone session, 1 hour telephone session, she didn't have to get up at all that night. And she just told me now she has had to get up once or twice, so it's greatly reduced, and it used to be up there at 7. So during the day, I talked to her yesterday, she only had to clear her mucus once during the day, which used to be every hour, or up to 20 times a day previously. Now, that's happened, but not only that, we worked on, her mother said to me, as she told me, as we were working over the phone, she was looking at Sarah's face, and she said, you're not going to believe this, but her face is changing before my eyes. Her face has now moved into correct position. Her nose is in the center. Her eyebrow, which is very high up on the forehead, has now come down. Her mouth is now balanced. She's got a lovely smile, and she was just over the moon. Now, with the next session that we did, Sarah had damaged her tailbone. She'd had a number of falls, but this particular time it was very painful. We did a very quick process. The pain went out of the tailbone right away. She usually goes to the chiropractor, and the chiropractor told her it would take most probably up to 10 to 12 sessions to get that tailbone to stabilize in her body, because she sits on it all the time. She can't walk. And what happened was that after one adjustment, he's now seen her 3 times to check, and he's amazed that the tailbone is staying in place.
Oh, boy.
For ordinary people who walk around and exercise, it usually takes up to 3 to 6 times to get that tailbone stabilized. But we did the work specifically on the tailbone, and it is now fitting in place and staying there.
Wow. And you were also able to facilitate this remotely. She wasn't coming into your center.
Okay. All over the telephone. Yeah, and the other thing that happened, now her mother has given me, just the other day, has given me a great testimonial that because Sarah's spine, she was all twisted over to one side, and now her spine has totally straightened out. She used to sit, when she used to go to the bathroom, she would be sitting very twisted, and she would have to hold onto the handrail, and she couldn't put, one of her feet could not touch the ground, and she had to balance with one knee sort of on the other knee. Now her mother says she's sitting straight up in perfect posture without needing to hold onto the handrails. And this is after, I think, the 4th telephone session.
Uh-huh. Wow.
So she has now regained her balance, and she's also able to, she's got 30% more movement in the left arm. Her left arm is now, muscle mass has developed, because before it was withering away, and it was much smaller than the other one. So, yeah, there's lots happened just in these 4 1-hour sessions.
Wow, and this is progressive. It's not like, we had a TV show many years ago here called Bewitched, that the main character was a witch, and Samantha Stevens. She was like a suburban, but she just happened to be a witch.
Yes.
And you know, she could twitch her nose, and you know, boom, something happened. We're not talking about twitching our nose and it just happens instantly, but this is a progressive. But yet, the changes that are occurring are literally beyond what we have grown accustomed to even believing is possible.
Exactly. And you know, Sarah, she is a very dedicated girl she believes she can walk again. She had given up before she started. She was doing very well for a while, and then she had become a bit, fairly hopeless. She was not feeling good, and she was just feeling it was all too much. But, since learning these techniques, and she's using them for herself, her and her mother, at the workshop, and also the work that I've been doing to support her, she is just powering ahead. And this girl, her mother said, I have my daughter back now. She is smiling, she's happy, she's positive, she believes that she can kick this thing, and walk again. So that's what has been able to be done for her. She now has the belief that she can do it. And that's so important, because if you don't believe you're going to be able to walk again, it's not going to happen.
That's for sure. You know, I was talking to a friend yesterday, and I'm already into this way of thinking that, everything is resolvable, but my friend was, we were talking about someone else, and then all of a sudden she tells me that, well, on the 24th of the month, next month, I have some surgery that needs to be done on my knee. And so I asked her, well, what's going on? She's got some knee pain. She says it's her lateral meniscus, some thickening, and a tear underneath the knee, and mild cartilage loss. And so she read all this off, and they're going to they'll do surgery on it. Now, I'm now all of a sudden getting people starting to think about the possibility. As time goes on, would this be something that could be where genome healing would be applied?
Definitely, because science has already understood that through stem cells we can regenerate the cartilage, we can regenerate blood. We've been doing that for 20 years in science, with leukemia and those sorts of blood cancers using stem cells. So stem cells are able to replicate themselves unlimitedly. They have that potential.
Ah, okay.
And to reproduce themselves. And so, stem cells are now very, there's so much, understanding of how powerful they are for regenerating bone, for regenerating, blood and also a tissue. So, yes, but, it takes time. It's not that it's going to, look, it depends on what you believe.
Right. It's so true.
You believe, if you get your full beliefs behind you, really, we can move out of time and we can make things happen very fast. Because really, everything already is. Perfection already exists. Do we want to choose that and bring that from the field of unlimited potentiality? Or do we want to buy into the beliefs that it takes time?
Right, yeah. Sometimes the closer it is to you, the harder it is to let go. But I know what you mean. I certainly agree. And yet I'm reading, I'm in the process of reading book 3 of Arkady Petrov's trilogy. And they're talking there about how the cell is the center of, literally, of all potential. And so this is falling right in alignment with what you're doing. So, yes, I see it.
Yes, the cell, the stem cell, when it is brought back to its creator's norm blueprint, it has all of the information required for full regeneration. This is basically what is everybody's God-given right as being part of the one source of all that is, within that cell there is the capability, the knowledge, and the potential to continue to regenerate.
Well, this is an idea, this is a thought, this is a concept whose time is now, and it can't be stated too often or too many different ways, but we will respect and your time and energy because we're looking forward to you spending that here and elucidating and demonstrating and helping each of us to really embrace and embody these methods. But we'll also leave a little on the table so that we'll get together and we'll talk some more about this at another time.
Yes, I'm really, really excited to come to the U.S. and to share these amazing techniques with everyone, because every time I share these, there are just more and more people going, wow, and coming back to realizing that they have, and a lot of them know it already, but they forget that they have this potential within themselves. So it's just like turns on the lights, it's like all of a sudden the lights go on, it's like, wow, So I'm really looking forward to sharing this with as many people as I can.
Well, definitely great. All right, well, I will thank you now, Carol, and we will convene again at another time. But for those who are interested in two things, Carol's website is genomehealing.com. And the website for the U.S. Genome Healing Workshop in Arizona in June of 2012 is genomehealingworkshop.us. So please go there and see more information and sign up for those who are touched by and amazed by these, what's happening here. We want to become part of this. Thank you very much, Carol, and we'll talk to you again very soon. So there you have it, our next conversation with Carol Roberts of Genome Healing. What are the implications of this? The implications are amazing in the sense that not only can we look forward again to being whole, restoring ourselves, restoring our health, restoring our well-being, we can look, the implications are such. Imagine regenerating organs, regenerating your tonsils, your teeth. Now I understand that your teeth or the externals, like the external limbs, there may be a greater, there's a slower process. Not that it's more difficult, but in the scheme of things, it is a slower process than in regenerating the internal organs, the ones that aren't seen. It's in that world. They do it differently. And I think it also has something to do with consciousness as well, which we will get into. But please understand that consciousness is what is driving this. This is what makes it all possible. Consciousness drives everything. Our beliefs are what we use to adjust and change and tune consciousness. What we believe in has power, has ability to manifest. What we don't have does not. And so the idea that we're presenting is part of what actualizes it, makes it possible, in the sense that we are seeing that there is no real biological reason not to be whole. When you understand the informational nature of everything, of all of existence, including the perfect expression of who you are, who I am. At any rate, that's all the time I have. Thank you again, Carol. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions, email me at adam@photonicenergycenter.com. Be here next time, and we'll have something else to really wrap your, not only your mind, but your heart around. When Talk for Food returns with Adam Abraham on webtalkradio.net. Thank you so much, and see you again. Bye-bye. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see you next week.
Talk for Food is a Philos MediaWorks production.